All right, we are on air. It is Thursday, November 5th, and we're going to have a quick design task check-in meeting for Backdrop. Starting really quick, talking about the product itself. We have our next minor release, 1.3. It's a design or user experience focused release. So we're trying to make some significant changes to the interface to make the product better. And of those, we have a few major ones that we want to improve. First is layouts. Layouts is a new system we added in Backdrop 1. We know that the current interface is not perfect, but it's definitely workable as it is. We want to spend some time improving that experience. We have a list of follow-up issues that have been created based on getting the first version in that we just need to crank through, and I think most of them can be added in 1.3. That issue on GitHub is number 345, and I think we're on the way to making good progress with that one. Another thing we'd like to improve is the Views UI. We don't want to change it too much because we know that the Views UI has been really successful in Drupal 7 and that the people who know it already know it, and trying to change it out from under them sometimes makes people grumpy. But we do have a couple of follow-up tasks with Views that include things like making the font consistent, making it the right size, making the interface mobile friendly. There's a bunch of just little improvements we need to make the experience of using Views better for Backdrop. And so we've got a handful of follow-up issues for that, which is number 930, which we also can get done by Backdrop 1.3, which is going to be scheduled for January 15th. A bigger, much harder problem to solve is the field UI. And this is something that was not super great when it was first invented. And we've been carrying a lot of baggage through all of Drupal with the field UI. It got worse from Drupal 6 to Drupal 7 when fields went in core, and it stayed worse through all of the Drupal 7 release cycle, and that's what we inherited for Backdrop. There are a handful of follow-up issues for field UI in Drupal. There are a handful of follow-up issues for field UI in Backdrop also. But what we were thinking might be nice is if we could kind of rethink the problem space, and rather than just trying to fix this thing that we know is imperfect, kind of starting all the way over from the beginning, from the ground up, and saying, what is the problem we're trying to solve? What is the right user interface for solving that problem and building something new? So that issue is number 779 on GitHub, and it looks like, I'm not sure if this is new since this week or new since last week, but it looks like Wes has been doing a bunch of work on trying to change the order in which we build the form. Which I, again, don't agree is the right way to build a field system, but that's the only way we have. So I think making what we have better is definitely an improvement, and we should start there. So if anyone wants to see work on that, it looks like, I don't know which, comment numbers are not super clear here, but it's issue 779 to see. I think he's been posting screenshots along the way too, so you can check that out. Okay, we also have a whole bunch of other issues scheduled for the 1.3 user experience release. Some of them are really tiny, just changing words and changing classes on things. And some of them are a little harder, or at least will require more thought, like moving things around in the user interface, adding features that make things more intuitive. But if you check out the milestone on GitHub for 1.3.0, you can see a whole bunch of user experience tagged issues there. And we'll see how many of these we can get through. Not all of them need to wait until the 1.3 release. This is just kind of all of the changes we want to get done by 1.3. So if there are little improvements that we get done soon, those can go in whenever. But big things like rewriting the field UI will probably go out with 1.3. So this is something that I think is super important for Backdrop as we're trying to start competing more and more with WordPress, is trying to make the user experience much better. Drupal is notorious for being hard to use, confusing, inconsistent, and I think it would be great if we can kind of solve some of those problems in Backdrop, and especially if we could help that be a roadmap for what Drupal is doing in the future. You know, there's a bunch of work going on in Drupal 8 to make it a little more user-friendly, but I think we can kind of both solve different problems and share answers, and both projects get better. So that's my goal here. And having an entire release, the 1.3 cycle, devoted to user experience, I also think is going to be huge for us, because it'll show, like, okay, yes, we got the product out on time, and then we added all the features that were most important, but user experience is important, and we're just going to focus on that for a little while and polish all the stuff we got done, which I think is sometimes easy to overlook, like getting it done and then never going back and taking a second look at it. So I'm very excited about 1.3. We've got a bunch of other stuff we're working on too that's not actually Backdrop the product, but I wanted to spend a couple minutes talking about the website, I guess, which is next on our agenda here. So we added Find Modules, Themes, and Layouts pages, which is really great. We know we have some development tasks left before we can finish implementing those designs. We need to get views integration for some things. We need to get data reporting working correctly. But we have kind of a really great path forward for getting those completed. But in addition to those things, we want to allow people to be able to log in to the Backdrop website, and this is going to come with a handful of its own design and user experience related tasks as well. So we want to be able to put things on the website for people to do, and this is something I think we talk about in our other meeting, but maybe isn't in this agenda. But the things we want to be able, people to do is being able to join something feels good. Like when you're like, oh, I'm going to join the Backdrop community. If you're not a developer and you don't work on GitHub, we don't have a really great welcoming workflow for getting you to be part of the community. So I think just having somebody be able to sign up or log into our website will create that initial part of feeling like you're joining something. For people who are developers, we don't want to have to make them create a new account for something new. So giving a single sign-on with GitHub will kind of decrease the amount of pain that's associated with signing up for something. So it'll lower the barrier to entry, but it still will be optional, right? So if you're not a developer and you don't have a GitHub, you don't have to do it. But if you have a button to click that'll sign you in, I think that would be super helpful. We could also then automatically associate the committers for projects with nodes you'd have access to edit and similar. So that's something to think about. But once you log into the website, if you're not a developer and you can't edit your projects, what do, right? Like, it's kind of weird to give somebody access to join something and they get in and poke around and they're like, there's nothing to do here. So what I thought would be really great is focusing on the things that we want to add to that website. So allowing people to add a Drupal-friendly event, right? So if you're an event organizer, Drupal-friendly, Backdrop-friendly Drupal event, or Backdrop event, or open source software event where you want to see Backdrop, or you want to learn about Backdrop, or you want to talk about Backdrop. Those would be really great to get an official event calendar up that's not like a Google feed that somebody has to email us to post something onto. So I think that would be something that could be an easy win, just let you create an event node where you can put in whatever description you want about it and maybe link to the event. That would be good. Another thing that I think would be useful is having people either sign themselves up as a contractor or a company that provides Backdrop services. So I did a couple of sales pitches recently to try and get people to use Backdrop for their projects, and then once you do that successfully, the next question is, great, can you get me a developer? And I do not want to be the middle person for all getting developers. I wish I could just point them at a page on a website and say, here's a list of a whole bunch of service providers and contractors who are interested in doing Backdrop work. And I think for the initial things, we have a list of supporters on our website already. We could leave that as the the bottom half of that page. So if people haven't logged into the website and haven't created a listing saying this is my company, contact me for Backdrop work, or this is my personal info, or whatever it is, we can have that list there, and then people can click through to those supporter pages and contact them directly if they want to. So I think that would be something to let people do right away, and then that way you can say, I've joined the community, I've mentioned that I'm interested in doing this work if you're a developer. And if you're just somebody who's interested in getting Backdrop work, you have a page to go where you can find these people that's public. Once you're logged in, you could also say something like, well, I don't know, there's other things you could do, but the thing that I would love is if people could then post information about their website, so like add something to the showcase. So I think building a showcase is going to be much a bigger task because it's going to require like a lot more design than like, here, fill out this form and we'll put you in this list. But I do think that that would be nice to get kind of as like item number 3. So letting people log in, letting people add events is going to be easy because that just appears in a list. Letting people list themselves as service providers is going to be easy because that'll just appear in a list. But getting a showcase that actually does a good job of like selling the site that has been built, I think is going to require a lot more design and thought and workflow. So I would love to get that on our radar in terms of what that experience is like and visiting Backdrop site and trying to see. That's another thing that's really important in the sales call, right, where someone's like, show me sites that are built on Backdrop, and you're like, I can show you like 3 of my own. But I think it would be really great to get a more polished, official-looking showcase going. So I think that's kind of what's next on our agenda for that. So I'm going to update this in terms of agenda items here. So what did I talk about? Building a showcase and service provider listing. And I think the service provider listing can just be a like review of what's already built, and same thing with event listing. Okay.
And that would be a user profile sort of kind of thing too, right?
Yeah, that's a good idea too. Trying to figure out, like, maybe before we let people log in, what kind of information we want to collect about people. It's always something we can revisit later, where it's like, oh, I want to know what country you're in. But I think like getting some initial metrics when people log in would be good. Like as people are creating accounts, we'll get a more accurate data sample than if we have to add something later, because not very many people are going to go back and edit their account.
Do you want to do like user image, social media links, website, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think maybe what we should do is look at what's on Drupal.org and see what kind of data they're collecting about people, and then just kind of say, we don't need this, we aren't going to get, this, it's too early to have, like, which DrupalCon have you attended for Backdrop. But it would be good to have, like, if you want to have a personal bio, you can. If you want to upload a photo, if you want to have a, I don't know.
I think, at the minimum, it would be like signing up for a camp, I think.
Yeah. Social media links for sure. Yeah, contact information, all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's a project.
I'll put that up here too as maybe the first item. Okay. So
timeline for that. When do you want to start that? And like, how much of a priority is that versus some of the other things?
I would say probably the profile page is more of a priority than like showcase, because that's going to come first. So I would do a profile page, and then maybe we can build the event listing and service provider listing and do a review of those the same time we're doing the showcase. So showcase we could put off till maybe January or something. But if we could do the profile page before the end of the year, I think that would be fantastic. Okay. So I think the only urgency here is that Drupal 8 is coming out, which is fantastic. It's supposed to be released on November 19th, which is 2 weeks from today. But I think what that's going to do is it's going to start a whole bunch of people to get really excited about Drupal 8, and they're going to go and they're going to look at it, and then they're going to want to compare it to Backdrop. And so that kind of surge, well, if they've heard of Backdrop, they want to compare it to Backdrop. So I think that surge of activity is going to work in our favor as well. And so it would be nice if we could have, people be like, oh, well, let me sign up for Backdrop too, and then I can go see what's there. Having some kind of welcoming environment for them. So I would say the sooner we can get it done, the better. I'm not sure we can get anything designed and implemented in 2 weeks, regardless of how simple it is.
No.
But I would say, like, if we could get that done before the end of the year, that would be fantastic. Oh, and Thanksgiving's in here too. If you're American, Thanksgiving is that on the 19th? It's 26th. Does anybody know when these silly American holidays are? No.
Yeah, Thanksgiving's always on Thursday.
26th.
Yep.
Thanksgiving's always on Thursday. It's not always on the same date. Anyway, so yeah, with Thanksgiving, everybody's probably not going to do any work the week of the 26th. So maybe we should shoot for like early December, getting the designs done, and then getting it built by January 1st. Does that seem reasonable?
Yeah.
I know you have a lot of work.
It's like a page or two, kind of. Yeah. Right?
Okay. Well, we'll maybe put that deadline on the agenda. It's kind of silly. All right, other things. So that's kind of where we're at with our primary website. Other exciting news for those of you who were at our regular developer call last week. I showed off our adorable dragon swag. So we have this cute T-shirt that has our dragon front and center, which says this cute little word backdrop on it. So if you love dragons and you want a T-shirt, we can give you this as a thank you gift if you make a $25 donation to the Backdrop Foundation, which you can do on our website at backdropcms.org/contribute. That $25 includes mailing inside the continental United States and probably Alaska and Hawaii too, I would imagine. So $5 for anywhere in the U.S. included in shipping. And then if you want a hoodie, these are super soft and very warm, which is perfect for the winter season, and they're made of eco-friendly fabrics, and they say backdrop on the front, just nice little subtle backdrop, and on the back there's this adorable dragon, which I never know if you can actually see it. So if you like dragons and you want more dragon poses, we have adorable dragon hoodies that are warm and comfortable, and everyone has liked them so far. So those are a thank you gift for a $50 donation to the Backdrop Foundation, which you can also do on our website. Again, shipping included. We have boxes of various sizes, so choose your size from the website and let us know when you make the donation, and we'll send you a little thank you. Well, thank you, Dragon. So far, we've sent out 4 boxes, I think, which is great. We had one person who ordered a T-shirt long before we even had a T-shirt, which was fantastic. So demand has been high. We also gave out a ton at Bad Camp, which is great. If you are a Backdrop contributor, you have earned your T-shirt already. So send an email to info@backdropcms.org, and we will send you a shirt. So thank you, contributors. Let's see, what else is on here? We have a backdrop slide deck, which I should just mention is at backdropops-/slides. It's basically a Reveal.js template that includes a bunch of different talks on Backdrop. Right now, I think there's Nate and my intro to Backdrop talk, but there's also, I think, another HTML file in there for another talk. I forget which one it is, but I think that would be a nice, great place to be like a canonical source for anyone who's giving a talk on Backdrop. If you want to contribute what you've done back, you can throw it in that slides folder, and it'll come with a little Backdrop template. And then anyone else who wants to give a talk on Backdrop, if they don't want to do the work themselves or they want to steal a slide they've seen in someone else's talk, they'll have a place to grab it. Let's see. We also are working on branding assets for Backdrop. So this is something that's been kind of like a long-running task, obviously very low priority, but we need to figure out what our online branding is going to be. We currently have a dragon mascot, we have a square logo, and we have random fractal repeating patterns recursion images on social media networks. It would be great if we could get some consistent branding to kind of use everywhere we exist. And so if anyone, this is kind of a good design-related intro task if you're interested in working on design for Backdrop, and let us know you want to work on it and start moving some stuff over. I have an issue here, or I have a task here that says to do make an issue. I think I made an issue. I'll try and go find it. I think I did it in the Backdrop Ops issue queue. Maybe I didn't make an issue. Now I can't remember where it is. But I'll go try and do that today and put one up somewhere where I know we've had a little bit of activity already in conversation around some assets that were beautiful but maybe not in line with the rest of Backdrop stuff. So we'll try and get those up, and then people can continue to iterate or start over, try something different or whatever you want on those. Other things in design and UX, the last item on the agenda here is this human interface guideline stock, which we started probably a year ago now, which I thought was a fantastic idea. This is a document that, like Apple has one of these that helps design how people are supposed to interact with software. I think it would be really great to have one for Backdrop that just explains like the design patterns and the user experience patterns that we have, when they should be used, when they should not be used, to help us not only in core make things more consistent throughout, but also to help Contrib developers try and figure out when they should build which interface patterns. So we have that kind of stubbed out on GitHub. It's at Backdrop. I think it's in Backdrop Ops. We should put a link to it on here. But it hasn't actually been completed. So if we have somebody new who's really interested in user experience, who wants to kind of adopt that whole project and say, I'm going to go through core and I'm going to figure out where we have which interface patterns and where they're used, if we could just even get that much down, we could take a good hard look at it and say, is this what we want? Does this make sense? If so, let's write why it, write some guidelines around why it's that way and when it should be that way. And I think just that would help us move closer to getting that document completed. As it is now, it's not super useful in its current state. Yeah, that's that.
That's a ton of stuff. That is a lot. You need like a design army right now.
Yeah. I mean, it would take somebody who is super passionate about user experience to kind of like go through it, because core is pretty big now, especially where we've got like layouts that has a different drag and drop interface than anything else. Just kind of go through and be like, this is what we have, and then look at like, is that really what we want?
No, I mean everything all put together, like all the design stuff. There's a lot to do.
Oh yeah. Oh, you mean just for like going through the whole agenda?
Yeah, the whole, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine. Like, some of this stuff is lower priority, like getting branding assets. It would be nice, but I don't know. I feel like one day we're going to get some amazing, like, WordPress people that are like, I only have 5 minutes, but I do Twitter headers all day long, and here you go, right? You never know. So whoever it is, it's like, I want to do that. It's a nice self-contained task. So.
Yeah, lots to do. That's good, though.
Yeah. All right, well, that's all I have on the agenda. Is there anything we haven't talked about that we should talk about?
No, but if you want to just follow up with some examples of maybe profiles that you think would be, a good model for ours.
Okay.
That would be good.
Okay. All right. Anything you want to add, Nate?
I don't think so. I'd say in terms of things, I mean, design-wise, we're looking pretty good on some of the things that Wes had put together. I'd like to see it, like, we might give that a shot, trying to implement the, like, redesigned how to add a field. I feel like that would be a nice iteration that could be done reasonably soon. The Views UI one, we really need comps for. Mike McCaffrey made an issue that was improve the UX of the Views UI, which his suggestion was to use vertical tabs to separate out the different concepts within Views. Yeah, it's funny because that actually was kind of similar to what we used to have in Drupal
5,
6 or 5. Yeah, 5. Ages ago. We had vertical tabs, but we didn't use vertical tabs to separate the concepts. We used vertical tabs to separate the displays.
Well, there were also concept separations too, I think, because there were like 8 vertical tabs, but there were often only one display.
Yeah. Well, in any case, the suggestion of separating them out into different pages, like the things for filters, fields, sort order, that sort of stuff, We do need to figure out how to separate them out so that we free up some screen real estate, because there's a separate issue that Clonos filed that was like the font size in Views is all it's a lot smaller than everything else, because we had, when we redid the admin theme, we made the font size a lot larger, but the Views UI like no longer fit on like large screens, and so we had to shrink. It was like, for the time being, we kept the font size within Views basically the same, and everything else got larger. And for some people, that inconsistency drives them up the wall. And so we do need to find out some way of freeing up more real estate within the Views UI. I know it's got crazy amounts of stuff going on, but that's probably why we need to separate them out into, some kind of division, whether that's tabs
like
or something.
the right-hand column, the advanced column, is always collapsed, but it still takes up like 300 pixels or whatever on the right-hand side, even so there's nothing there.
Yeah, that doesn't happen in Backdrop, actually. We
take that and put it below.
Yeah, we uncollapsed it. I think we even removed the ability for it to be collapsed.
What?
Yeah.
Huh.
Now I'm going to go check that out to confirm that that's actually the case. I'm pretty sure that's the case.
That's a mistake. So we
That's
should.
a mistake.
Yeah, so the reason that's a user experience fail. Like, the reason that's hidden is because the Views UI is already overwhelming, and if you put too much stuff on it, then people won't click anything at all. Wow. So I think leaving things that most people, especially at first visit, are not going to use hidden is good, and having that option to unexpand it is good for the pro developer. Like, I leave it open on all of my websites because I'm not afraid of views, and I will click anything, whether it's a smart idea or not. So I just go and turn that off. And I think having that first time experience being positive is way more important than making it easier on the pros, because the pros can know how to fix it. But anyway, the question was...
Yeah, in any case, the collapsing it doesn't really make the experience more positive. It just kind of...
For first-time users, it does, because it's the visual impact that matters. But anyway, the point was we should take the right-hand column and put it below, because that would give us horizontal space. But also important is that we probably shouldn't change the Views UI very much in Backdrop 1, just because our primary target audience for Backdrop 1 are people coming from Drupal. And if we take Views and make it too significantly different, we're going to be alienating our target user base.
I think you can wait until 2 really to do the big redo, right?
Yeah, and especially things like the advanced thing. Probably nobody's noticed because we don't have any first-time users. But that we're not going to be very successful. We don't have any first-time users long term. So we do need to improve that experience.
Yeah, I got an account with who is it? Webflow, and they have a CMS thing, and they kind of have their own version of Views. So I haven't used it, but there might be some inspiration there too for the future. See what other people are sort of doing.
Yeah. I got an account with Squarespace the other day. Was it Squarespace?
I've never used Squarespace.
I set up a blog. It was for restoring my Victorian house.
Right.
I'm I want to set up a blog. It was a very strange experience. So after coming to something
right. How'd it go?
It was cool. I mean, there's definitely a lot of things where you're they give you a whole bunch of tools to achieve the same goals, but I think they're trying to meet every use case, where it's the person who wants to change the layout and the person who wants to change the content both have a way that they edit content that's different. But from either screen, you can change both the layout and the content. But it's a different UI, which is
cool. What's the URL?
Squarespace.com. Oh, you mean my blog?
Your blog.
Oh, I think it's Old Victorian at Squarespace. I don't remember.
Okay.
It's not actually done. I just created.
I thought it was done. Gotcha.
Well, yeah. It's I'm wrong. It's I was trying Weebly. Better get their products right.
Oh, funny. Right. Cool. Yeah, I haven't really heard of Weebly, actually.
It used to be Wix.
What was it called?
You heard of Wix?
Mm-mm.
No. It's the same kind of thing as Squarespace, where it's like a really easy like site building tool, but you can only build, a fairly basic blog type site.
Right.
But I was trying Weebly, I think, in particular, because they are using something that looks a lot like Aloha, which was the WYSIWYG editor that almost went into Drupal 8, and I wanted to see what they were able to do with it.
Cool.
They have a bunch of crazy like inline editing stuff.
Oh, my favorite is Medium that I've ever seen.
Medium?
Yeah, have you seen Medium?
I
Yeah,
haven't used
Medium
it.
is a blogging platform. Like it doesn't have any design at all. It's just content.
Yeah,
Huh.
but it's got amazing inline editing stuff for like writing. Like could be some interesting inspiration there. I would check it out. It's so slick.
Okay, I'll check that out too.
Yeah. You got to make an account and like just write a post or something just to experiment with it. But for simple blogging, it's pretty great. Really effective.
Well, I just tried to log into Medium and it broke it, so we'll try that.
All right.
Found a bug.
Well, let's wrap it up so that we can get prepared for the 1 o'clock meeting.
All right. Well, nothing
I've
else.
got a 1 o'clock as well.
We'll meet again in 2 weeks, which will be on the 19th of November.
Okay.
Have a good
All right,
one.
cool. See y'all.
All right, bye guys.